check-in, a Tuesday night check-in on International Women's Day. And I thought I should check in and just see how everyone is doing. I know it's only been a day or so since I've been in. And as I start my live, the cat decides it's a good time to have a lunch. So you got Princess Leia eating behind you and Sid and Jess. So, hello, Felicia. Felicia, I think I'm gonna have to like reward you with being the first one to ever comment. Every single time I come in, I believe you are always the first one. I so appreciate it. Hello, Brenda, as I'm just talking to air while I'm waiting for everyone to get in. Hello, Wendy. And so I am on. Good. I'm glad you get your notifications. So many people are not getting their notifications. And hello, I think I said hello to Brenda and Marissa. Hi, and Allison and Carrie and Jamie. Oh my God, Carrie, I was just thinking about you. I was just thinking about you, my friend. You are on my mind. So I know I was just in but I decided I would come in and hello, Brenda. I decided I would come in and do the 3-card reading for the week so that everybody gets the message of the week. So if you have not seen, yes, Carrie, all good. all good. And hello, Danielle and Brenda. And so what was I just gonna say? So just lost my train of thought. Oh, you got your human design course. Yay, Wendy. That's a good place to be. Felicia, you may have to clear your energy. You can just like ask them to leave. Move them out of your house. You don't need to have them there. You don't. And Jenna, hello. So I want to come in. I was just going to stop in and do the 3-card weekly, and I want to talk about some of my stuff too today. Just saying. So don't be bored. But I have some new classes that were coming up, and I wanted to talk a little bit about them. I have a whole freaking weekend event happening online this weekend. You could spend almost 8 hours with me. 4 on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday, live interactive in my angelic healing and my angelic light and I can't even get it. Angelic healing and light activation class that is coming up. It is all weekend. So it's all day from 10 to 2 Mountain Standard Time Saturday and 10 to 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Sunday. So it is live, it's interactive, it's recorded, so you can even go back and watch it again. Now there is parts of it that will be removed because it is a group. It's a group thing. Actually, no, because it's only the people that have the course that can get it. So if you buy it later on, then if it's sold later on as just a recording, then that would be removed. But yeah, so you can come in, you can sign up, you can get in for this weekend class. It's all on my website. It's all on CorrieThorne.com. And get yourself registered for this weekend. It is a fee, of course. It's not a free course. I'm working all weekend. And then I also have starting next week. I think it's next week on the 17th. Yes. So on the 17th, I have my second group coaching of the More Than Existing that's being done in 5-week increments. And that one is on archetypes and chord and connection to the chords, the angelic chord, I can't even talk, the karmatic chords that are attached to us and releasing the old, all that kind of stuff. So that one's in a 5-week coaching class, group coaching. That one starts on the 17th. And then I also have coming up another mystical realm course. And that one's going to be in a 3-week. It's on Sundays. And this one is, it's about Jesus and the holy realm. Jesus, the divine, the holy realm. And so that one is another mystical realm course that I teach on Sundays in coming up the end of March and following through into April. And then for some, I will get to see some people live in person when I am back in Edmonton. So if you're a part of that original group that I was teaching in Edmonton the beginning of March, and I get to see you again the end of March, it's a private booking, so it's not open to anybody. But then yay! So I will be back in Edmonton teaching the healing work the end of March. So I'm not available for my lives or for other things then. But yes, so I do have, hello everyone who's joining in. I am talking about my upcoming class this weekend first and foremost, but it is happening this weekend. If you have not seen it, if you have not known anything about it, but you're really interested in it, you can go to the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness and you can watch the free webinar. So there is a free webinar that you can watch prior to signing up to the class that's coming in this weekend. And that is right on the school. So even if you go to CorrieThorne.com, I think you can link to it through there. But that one is free. So you go watch it. If you were signed up before and you didn't get to, you missed it for some reason, you can still go in and watch that one as well. And then you can sign up for my class if you want to feel like coming in. I am very excited about it. I am working with light language. So it's angelic healing, light language, and light activation. So I'm going to be working with the light language and light activation, the light code activation, and really truly allowing the angelic healing to happen. It does have practice. So it's also helping you to be able to learn how to work with this healing light, how to be able to channel in. So I am teaching some channeling work as well on the weekend. So it is a live and interactive class that I do have happening. So if you want to join me on that one, get in. I can't wait to teach it. Actually, it should be a fun weekend. So hello. Who we got? Hello, Lorene and Stacy and Jennifer and Cynthia and Linda and Rhonda and Christy. Hi. I think I've said hi to everyone else that's in here. 2 more days until you're reading, but you're booked in on Thursday, right? Yay. Good. I'm glad you got an appointment. All right. I'm in the middle of looking for a new home. So if anyone knows of a good home in Sylvan Lake area, in any of those areas, I would really appreciate it. I haven't even been here a year, and yes, I'm renting one of my daughter's houses, and she owns 2. So she decided they're going to sell this house, and I need a new place to live. So I have a lot happening right now. So I do need a new home in the Sylvan Lake area. And I don't want to be buying. Okay, so we are reading through the energy. So I am going to do the 3-card reading for us for this week. I was just in on Sunday, I think it was, and did the reading for the individual. So I'll see if I'll see how much time I have when we're done the 3 cards. I want it kept calling me all day to come in and give a 3-card reading. I think so many people need that inspiration right now. We need that little pep in our step. We also need to remember that even though the world is, shows us a lot of the ugly side, the not so pretty things that are happening, that the world still also has a lot of beautiful things. And I just finished telling that to a client today. I'm like, if you just imagine, if you stretch it out, so we get caught in our little small world and we get caught in the world of these little things, but that makes it dense, right? It's like all light collapses in on itself and it looks like we're all in the shadow. But if you stretch it out and we expand it out, there's light in between there. And so there is this expansion of beautiful things that are still happening. There's still a lot of, there's still a lot of beautiful people in the world. There's still a lot of good in the world. There's still a lot to be thankful and grateful for. And how do we be able to begin our healing journey? Our biggest part of our healing journey is to first discover the sense of gratitude, to become grateful for the things that we have, to become grateful for our own existence, and to be grateful for the lessons and the blessings that we have learned. And sometimes our most challenging things and our hardest things that we've ever had to kind of go through in relationships per se, like in shitty relationships, unhealthy moments in your life where you've had to make some really tough decisions and you knew it was going to be difficult, but you knew you had to go through it. Those lessons and those blessings that we get from there, to show great gratitude for that experience, for what it had taught you, for what it had given you in insight and wisdom, to be able to incorporate those things in different places within our lives. So So we are working from that energy tonight. We're working from that place of gratitude and great appreciation. And Felicia, I just want to say this to you. So Felicia, I feel like you need to kind of open your windows, smudge, do some smudging, open your windows. And even if they are good, even if they're not, even if it's not like not good, even if it's like an unpleasant type of energy, or if it's a pleasant type of energy, it is still taking up space in your home. And even though it's even trying to, it might be asking to be helped along. So it may be asking you to help guide it out and to guide it home. So what you can do is that you can literally open your windows, smudge, and just guide them out and guide them up. And just say, just ask Archangel Michael to come in, ask any of the guides and angels to come in and help bring them home, guide them home, put them in the little net and take them home. And some are like Klingon energies. So we get Klingon energies. And so you may have picked up a Klingon energy somewhere along the line and you dragged it home with you. Okay, so we are starting with my deck of cards. And our first card out is the Wisdom of the Elders, and it's Nugimi. And this beautiful Wisdom of the Elders is a card that I so love. It's one of my favorite cards in the deck. And when this card was being created, I almost felt like not worthy to create the card. And so, but as the card came and it came to life, I realized that, that journey that we take into being that elder comes with this sense of humbleness. I'm just opening up the cards. And so it comes with this sense of humbleness that appears for us or appears with us when we allow ourselves to go through the journey and see ourselves in our sense of, being our sense of humility and letting go of the old pride stories, the old ego stories that hold us to, I'm never forgiving that person. I'm never doing that. And that's never happening. There's no way I would ever do that. And, how many times have you watched other people in your lives and they make mistakes in relationships or make shitty decisions, or they go back to people to try again in relationships. And you may have been sitting on that fence crowing, going, I would never do that. I can't believe they're doing that. And I can't believe this and da-da-da. And I would never. I say never because you never know. And so, and it's some of the greatest lessons that I've learned from the elder energy. I've been very honored, and I've had great privilege to sit with some great elders within my lifetime and sit and learn a lot from the elder energy. So when this card was created, what I really recognized is that this big elder spirit energy right here, that's not us. So when you pull the card and you get this and you're like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm making it. I'm getting it. And it's like, no, we're always still this little pea. I always say, it's like, we're like this little pea pod, right? We are the little pea in the pod in the big world. And when we look at the world in that way of we are so small, when we say our things like, everybody's talking about me, everybody's doing this, everybody hates me, everybody's doing this to me, everybody's, it's like, now change that story and put that in perspective so that you can actually lose the story altogether. So in other words, we can get over ourselves. And when we can get over ourselves, I got an itchy head. Sorry, guys. I don't know who's tickling the back of my head. But this elder is that we are this little one right here. We have our, we have our little feathers and wings, and we have our little light that, that shines and illuminates. But we're always, when we allow ourselves to look up, we can always be inspired by this great wisdom that we can learn so much. And my grandmother used to always say, it's like, never say never. And the other thing, my mother used to always say, put your hand in a bucket and take it out. Is there a hole? I go, no. And she says, well, that's how much you're really, truly ever really needed. So don't think yourself through that big, that you're not replaceable. And some of those things sounds really harsh, but they have such a truth to it. So the wisdom of the elder and what she's telling us, because this is coming in that sense of the past or the physical body card. The way these cards work, it goes into, the physical body, the mind, or the mind, the physical body, the action, and it then goes into that higher self, like moving into that essence of ourself. And so when we're connecting to ourselves, so this is our This is our mind stories. This is how we get trapped. But when we allow ourselves to be open-minded, when we allow ourselves to learn from the great wisdom, when we learn to really truly connect into that higher consciousness. And that's what we're being asked right now, is that we're being asked by spirit to actually pay attention to where we are accessing our information, and what is feeding our thoughts, and how we are communicating to ourselves, because it is having an impact on us in our everyday lives right now. And so knowing that if we allow we ourselves to go to our higher selves before we speak. So before we talk out of, out of fear, out of anger, out of frustration, if we allow ourselves to go to that place and we seek from the higher self a way to communicate to ourselves and to others that truly allows us to speak and connect from the higher self. And that's kind of where we are right now, everywhere. So that's kind of coming up. And it's the same thing with our patience. So this card also teaches us a whole lot about patience. It tells us, it's like, I want it now. I want it all now. I want to know it now. And I get that so much in my teachings. And I used to get it so much in training hairstylists. And you give people a little bit of, like, I used to always say to my girls, I'm like, now remember, when you get a little bit good and somebody tells you you're good, you're going to get a little bit of an ego, and you're going to want to think that you don't need to know anything else. The biggest downfall that we have in our lives is the moment that you think you know it all. When you think you know it all and you don't need any more help, you're greater than your master, you're greater than the master, you're greater than all of those. And it's like, I got it. I know. When we know, we fall really, really hard, because there is that sense of, curiosity. There's this sense of recognizing how much there is to learn. And so even when we think we're better than others, or we think that we've outgrown everybody and we don't need anyone else, that's when the lessons will start to come back in. So we're being told not to let ourselves have so many opinions and so many one-sided views, and to put blinders on that we cannot see. We cannot let ourselves be open to the possibility that we could be wrong. And I live by that one now in my life. Is I live by the fact that this is what I feel, and this is the wisdom that I have right now. But it doesn't mean that it maybe tomorrow I may learn something else, and that may not be my truth tomorrow. So I could be wrong, and living by that. And so we have a lot of changing energy right now. We have a lot of changing stories. I have a lot of prediction stuff. So there is a lot of changing stories. There is a lot of collapse of stories that are going to start falling in. We're going to see a lot of empires falling in this next year. You're going to see a lot of that crumbling. And I'm going to stand by my little people that are like the little ants that I've been saying for like 2 years. Like I used to always say to Lisa Star Francis, I'm like, just wait, the little ants are marching in. It's the everyday people in numbers and in great power to do things from the higher consciousness, to do things with a direct plan of love, of coming in, that feels like it's really truly working through the network, working through the system, that's bringing change within the world. And it's love. It's love. It's that action of love. And so we're seeing so much more of that. And a lot of those things are coming from that wisdom of the elders. It's coming from, I don't know why I feel like I have to do this, but we're answering calls. So many of us that are light workers that have gotten very freaking tired, we're exhausted, and we're like, oh, I just don't want to do this no more. And then we just like, something just happens and we just get this boost of energy again. And we just find ourselves on these paths of taking a stand, go in a certain direction. Prime example, looking at unified.com, those places that are really truly like, you know what, something don't feel right. So I have to go this way. I have to start my own, I have to start walking this path, and I may be the only one, feel like the only one on it, until you speak, and then you discover there's a whole lot more on it. So we have a lot of that in the prediction energy that I'm going to say. That in prediction, what I'm seeing is you're going to see a lot of collapses of big empires and big places where they thought they've had it, I've got it all figured out, and starting to find out you don't have it all figured out. You believed into a lot of things that really truly wasn't true, or you got, You bought into the story. So there's a lot of buying into stories that are just going to see falling. And with that, then it changes the direction and the plan of any narratives that have been playing out. So now, in all of my weekly channeled messages, what I say is that's the world energy. But now, never mind the world energy. You can't change that. Bring that energy into you. So when you bring that energy into you, into that there's a world and a universe that exists within you, out there, I can't do nothing about that. It doesn't matter. But now, what is of my own empire story, right? That's what you have to ask yourself. What is it that I keep, what is my weak spot in my foundation that keeps me falling, off track, out of alignment? Where do I lose myself and getting caught up in what everyone else is doing and looking over my shoulder? Oh, I wonder what they're doing. Am I doing the right thing? Or is this? And you're not trusting your own intuition. You're not trusting your own guides. You're not trusting that instinct, and you're allowing yourself to be caught in your fight or flight energy. That's the kind of energy you're being told to be aware of, because that's coming from the emotions. So that's a very emotional based energy that you're connecting to. And so that's where fear, that's where false evidence appearing real comes in. It is also where the old comes in. And so that then leads us following old patterns. So the wisdom of the elder is just saying, be aware that that is knowledge, right? So because you have previous knowledge, or you have knowledge of experiences that guide you into an emotional attachment, that then you have a thread, right? So you pull the threads tight on it and you bring the story back into you, then you're bringing it back to life in your world. So what they're telling us is that this is the time to be aware of that, and to let the wisdom doesn't have ego. Wisdom don't need that proof. It don't need a following. It doesn't need a following. Hence why a lot of my stuff sounds out there to people sometimes, because I don't need anyone else to validate it. It's what they tell me, and I speak what they tell me, and then whatever it is, it is. It's not about who's going to like it or not like it, right? It's that wisdom that comes in. So from that wisdom, it's not based on human knowledge. It is based on trusting this guidance that's coming through. Your higher self will bring you to the place of doing what's for the highest good, for the outcome of your future, for your life. Not what you want. It's not about what you want. It's about what we need. So sometimes that means we got to do the hard things, right? Sometimes it's not easy. I'm in a hard place right now myself again. That's the human journey. I am in a big, big unknown in a lot of areas of my life. And I've learned that means I'm going the right way. If it's uncomfortable and it feels like I haven't been here before, then that means you're going the right direction. Because if you've been there before and then something you may be repeating, and it may be another lesson that you have to learn again. So never be too big for your bridges, right? Never think that you've got it all. Never think that you've already made it. It's like always the fact that there's always a little bit something more, and it keeps you seeking and searching. Because the moment you stop seeking and searching and you set yourself just in one comfort is the moment that you start to become that mundane energy, and you stop more than existing, and you just exist again, and you just exist in that story, and you're missing the point of what we are here to do. We are here to be alive. We're here to let ourselves breathe into life, and to stop the breathing into life means that, get out, smell the roses, get out and breathe in the fresh air, get out, be curious about what else is possible to learn about you. What you need to learn is not so much about what's happening out the world, is what is possible inside of me. What do I have within me that I can be excited about, and start to become excited about discovering and learning more about you? Because what you're doing is you're coming into relationship to the soul self. And this card also represents that. It represents the relationship between you and to the aspect of the soul that has lived many lifetimes. You've only lived once. You've only lived as this human one lifetime. And because you've only lived this one lifetime, it means we're always like newbies in comparison to what your soul has that it can use to guide you through. And that's just our first card. That's just the first card. Where are we going to go with the next card? So it's why I always say, stay till the end. If it's not about just pulling cards, you get so many messages that come of things that you need, not what you want, when you allow yourself to sit and listen to these powerful messages that are channeling through me, right? These are not, I don't stop and read the comments when I'm giving these, because they are channeled. These are coming from that divine. My thread has been fight the last couple of months. It's not me. I know this, right? Yes, it's not me. And so, yes, so this is channeling. So I'm channeling through these messages. I don't know where it's coming from. And it's like, and so these messages also apply to me. I'm not bigger than the messages. I haven't got it all figured out. So I get this same way you guys get this, maybe in a different way or different level or different place. We're all on different paths, but we're all walking a path. And so let's see. And so our next card that we're bringing in, these cards are for everyone tonight. And so this may release, like if you listen to the first card, if you missed this first one and then we're coming into the second one, it could relate to love, to relationships, to anything within your life. I'm gone all, hold on guys. I don't know why. Sometimes I got to do this to the camera, like touch it, because it goes blurry. And then we have the mystical dreamer, and she is Marlena. Now she is an attitude, so she is an inspiration. She's not in inspiration. Upright, they're an inspiration. And for anyone who's new, this is my deck of cards. They're not out yet. So you're looking at the white, and then you're seeing the brown color around the edges. They're going back to the white. And they have a whole new back, and I can't wait to show the new back. It's going to be so pretty. I'm going to open it up though. So this is, the mystical dreamer, and this is Marlena. And both of these cards are actually coming in the, these are coming in the maiden. They're not in mother. They're not in crone. They're still baby stepping their way through life, still learning, still growing, still making mistakes. So mystical dreamer is that, you may be dreaming about this ideal relationship. You may be dreaming about this ideal life. You may be dreaming about, the way that you think things should be. But it's amazing, because I can tell you what my dreams show me, or what my dreams give me, in comparison to what I dream of, what I thought life would be, has actually sometimes blows my mind. So the mystical dreamer brings up the fact of, we often can be a little bit envious of what somebody else has and still not be jealous. So when you look in at somebody's life and you say, oh, I'm so happy for them, but in the same breath, you feel this sense of sadness for yourself that, somehow I wish I could have this. And then other times it's all out. I wish I could be like that person. I wish I could be more like them. Stop wishing to be more like people, because when you wish to be more like people, or you wish to get your wants and your desires, is that you get the good, bad, and the ugly that comes with that. So then it's that sense of, oh, I just want to go back to the way I was, or I just want things to be the way they were. So there's never a sense of satisfaction, because it's never really yours that you're wishing for. So even the essence of the spirit world and being connected to that spirit, right? There's that essence. Oh, I wish I could talk to the angels, or I wish I could talk to the guides. And then when they start talking, oh, I wish they stop. I'm scared. I'm afraid. So there's so many things that happens in that process of wishes. And it's the same thing in healing. We don't ever make an intention to wish for somebody to have a desired outcome that we think they should have. So if somebody is not well, if somebody is ill, and a family is coming and they're saying, can we do a healing circle for these people? And it's like, could you just see, like, we just want to wish them to be better. We want them back the way that we've seen them. We want them back into that healthy life. But what if that's not what if that is not in the plan? What if you're wishing for something that was not for them? And then when they get, you get them back just to have them back, that you get back somebody who then has to live with a lot of other things because they're not really well, but what you wish for, you got, but you got what you wanted, not what they needed. So being aware of that in relationships as well. in relationships, you could keep wanting someone. It's like, oh, but I see the good in them. Oh, I see this in them. I see, I see the possibility. Everyone else, so now everyone else could tell you that that person was an absolute loser. And you're like, no, no, no. With me, they're different. They're going to be different with me. This time it's going to be different. No, no, no. They'll never be that way with me. Now, have they done all their own healing before they ever met you? Have they got all the counseling that they need? Did they do all of those things? No. You just thought that your light, your love was going to be enough for them. And that's what you thought was going to be enough. And you thought that they would change. And that is just a thought. And then it comes with an expectation. And then when it doesn't, you're like, I don't know why this happened to me. Yeah, you do know why it happened to you, because you got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. And this then leads you into your same self-prophecy to stay in the same cycles. And so when you get what you want, sometimes it often leads you not getting what you need, and then you're always still seeking and searching, and it leads you into a life of struggles because it is not your path, it's not your direction. The same way with wanting to take on what somebody else is. And I get it so often. It's like, oh, I just want to be like you. It's like, no, you don't want to be like me. Trust me, you don't want to be like me. You want to be like you and let your sparkle shine, let your light in, right? Like, let you be the best version of you. And so those things that you wish for, and then you go thriving for, it's like, that's going to be my career because I've seen them do it and it looks fun, it looks good. But what if that's not for you? And then you don't realize that on the other side of that, there's also the the not so pretty side that comes with it. Like being a medium. It's not always pretty, right? Like it's like there you see this fun stuff, but there's a not pretty side to this work. And so what she's telling us is that she's in the 7. And so she's at that place of the peak of like the mountain when you get up on top of the perspectives. So she's able to get it where she is. What she's realized in inspiration and not in attitude is that in inspiration, what she realizes is that she's in a position where she is, that she's glad to be that mystical mermaid because she can go down deep and she can come up for air. So she can go down into the depths of the darkness and to the bottom of the sea, but she can also come up and touch the earth. She can also come up for air. She can also come out and sit on the rocks. So she knows that she has the best of both worlds. And sometimes, and when you allow life, when you allow life to flow and you allow yourself to fall into who we're here to become, and you stop trying to be something, is that you discover that you can have the best of several different worlds or several different ways. Or, it's like, and when you do the work on you and you focus on the healing within you and do the healing work for you, and you come into relationship, like the first card told us, with you first, make the connection to your soul, make the relationship with you the best relationship that you do first. And then you can have a beautiful relationship with yourself. Then you can have beautiful relationships with other people. Then you can also have a beautiful career where you also find the balance. So life becomes more in alignment and more balance, right? So we get that balance in our lives, and that's what's important, and that's where our focus goes. So when we watch the world right now out of balance, we watch the world like so in wanting, like there's such an immaturity in the universal energy of fighting over the wants and this projection of what I want, that we're not seeing the emotional and spiritual maturity yet. And things have to collapse in order to get that, so that we can come into that place of finding that again. Right. And so we have to get there. And for that reason, what it says is that first you have to find the center. So you have to come into the center of self. You have to connect to the center of the self. You have to be with the center of the self. And when you're with that center of the self, you're able to be at the center of that crossroads and look in all directions, but also knowing where you've been, knowing where you're going, and knowing knowing your own shortcomings, knowing your own role that you play. Writing More Than Existing was truly about taking ownership and responsibility for your own life. What role am I playing in my own destiny? What am I playing in my own, in my own hurt story, my own misery story? What am I continually contributing to? And then to be able to go the due north journey, come into that sense of, what do I know? What wisdom have I gained? And, what else am I here to learn? What else is there for me to learn? And then of course, if you look at the jellyfishes and the crabs, and so you have the jellyfish above, you have the jellyfish below, you have the crab below, you have the crab above, you have the part of the woman down below and the part above. And so there is that the negative, the negative, and possibilities that we all have a dark side, we all have a not so pretty side, and we all have a good side. So we have a choice in every decision that we make. Which way will we go? Every decision that we make, we all have a decision on which direction. Do we cross the path of no return, of creating our own hell on earth, or do we take the one that takes us into living within our own heaven? And believing in magic. If someone said to you, there's no way horses could be under the water, and you're like, there's no way there'd be a horse under the water. A horse can't swim under the water. Like, they can swim, but they can go and drink. They can be on land, but a horse cannot go underwater and live underwater. And you're like, yeah, they sure can, because there is a seahorse. And because there's a seahorse, you can go underneath this. There is a horse. It's just not the same horse as what you're thinking, because the horse that you're thinking is the one that comes into your thought. It's bigger. It's on land. You can see it. But there is a horse underneath water, right? So there is the possibility of something that is in a different perspective that we can see. And you got to be willing to look at life that way. See, you got to see the magic. See the magic. And so when we make those choices then we stop seeing the magic, is because sometimes we wish for something that really wasn't for us. I'm glad that's the reminder you needed today, Carrie. Yes, Regina, you have to go back and watch the first one as well. And your channel message was spot on? Good. So if you guys go back, if you go onto my YouTube channel, if you're not on YouTube, some people are on YouTube watching this, but I'm on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. If you're on my Facebook, go to YouTube, and every one of my monthly channeled messages for each of the zodiac signs are up. Plus, there is a weekly message that also just went up last night as well. And please like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And I also have 2 YouTube channels. The other one is She Is More Than Existing, and that is my podcast. And it's all my podcasts are done in audio. So I'm not really reading anyone individually today. This message is collective. It's for everyone. But if you're here, there is a message in here for everyone. There's always something to be learned, because this is channeled energy. So this is channeling through the energy. And then our next card that we're bringing up for us, and please share these videos, because, we're kind of getting pushed out of the flow within that Facebook world. And I think it's a little bit intentional. And then we have O'Malley. And so what the heads up of this card means, we're going to bring her up now. O'Malley is card number 28. So when you look at O'Malley, and she's down in the corner, down here, is that O'Malley is the imposter energy. And because Merlina is actually in reverse, so she's telling us that right now we may be caught up in that wishes story, or, wanting something, having that desire of this desired outcome, instead of asking what is of our highest good. We may be in a whole lot of ego and thinking that we're, I'm there, I got this, and we don't need any more help, whatever it may be. Or you're resistant to allowing yourself to be open to receiving. That's another one. You may not be open to receiving. You're saying, I want a good relationship. I want love. I want healing. I want these things. But in the meantime, you got the most closed off heart ever. And you're just like so closed off. It's like, how can anything get in? You may be give, but are you open to receiving? So the word the mantra that I use all the time is, I am available. I am now available for receiving all of the beautiful, loving, good energy, all that I give to everyone else. I'm I'm available. I'm here for it to also now come into me. I'm not rejecting it. When you have this trauma response and this emotional response that takes you into that is led by guilt, shame, fear, pleasing, resentment, when that starts leading the way, when that's the action or the thought that starts to come when you get triggered, then often you become that imposter energy. And then you react and respond from that place that you are not you're not available for the good stuff, not available for good healthy relationships. Yes, you can sure hear the fur baby snoring. She, not that one. Sid moved down a little ways. I think she was having a little tantrum, but she's down there snoring now. And so when we get caught in that attitude of not needing, then our futures will actually look just like our yesterdays. And you've heard me say this many times, but so your futures will just look like every other situation. Your next relationship will look just like every other relationship. It will have something, because even if it is so great in the moment, if you're dependent upon the material world, or you're representing, bringing your shadow self, what you think everyone wants you to be, into a relationship, you're presenting that so-called best self that you think you're going to make somebody love you, want you, then eventually that's going to crumble. That's the empires we're talking about crumbling, because it's the imposter light. It's not really true. So it's not sustainable. It's not all of you. And so when we become that and we lose ourselves, that your futures will be that same imposter light if we do not start by really truly exploring where we have been, looking at that energy and coming back around. So the bottom, the underlying of all of this was the master manipulator energy. And this is, she's the Mavis, and we can be the master manipulator of our own stories, our own thoughts, and we can convince ourselves of anything, because the mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and real. Whatever you tell it, it will believe. So if you make yourself out to be an enemy, if you make somebody else out to be an enemy, if you got a story stuck in your head and yep, I know that's the way it is, everyone's done this and this is the way it's always been, then you will believe it, because you can convince yourself of anything. So when we get that, where we're stuck in the mind body. And when we get stuck in that mind body story, is that we get grounded and rooted in the story. So we're also very programmed. And so we're so very programmed to old stories, to previous things that you would have known, that then you lead to believe. If unintentionally, even the people that we love in our lives manipulate the energy or manipulate us. How many people, so I'm going to ask you this now, how many people, when you were a child, somebody would pretend they were crying or sad to get you to change your mind? How many times did that happen? Or do the pouty face? Or how many kids did that? Or how many times did you do that? And you'd pretend, right? Like that whole pretending, because you knew, or they knew. So somebody either knows you're a bleeding heart and you can't help yourself. You want to be that person to step in because you're in pleaser, or you knew that the parent was a bleeding heart, man, and they wore their heart on their sleeve. And the moment that you just acted that way, you knew you're getting your own way. I could do it with my father. I could play, and that's not, it's not really funny, but it was the way to get your way. Was that if mom didn't give me, I could go to my dad and get my way. But I learned it from my mother, because my mother used to do it to me. And if you're here, Mom, yes, you did. She used to pretend she was crying to make me hug her. So I never used, she said, can you give me a hug? No. And then she'd go, and she'd pretend she was crying. And then she'd say, oh, I could die. And if I die, you're going to be so sorry you didn't hug me. And now I'm like, Mom, you used to do that to me. And so it means she was 20 something years old. And so that is actually master manipulator energy. So you learned that behavior. She did that to you, right, Ellie? Yeah. I know. And so not knowing, so it's unconscious behavior, right? So many times, sometimes it's very conscious and it's very like malicious, manipulative. Other times it's just that conditioning programming. And sometimes they kind of think it's like funny, but to a child that's still growing and learning that sense of self, and from in the womb till 7 is when you actually get that sense of your identity. That's when it's created. So in that time, so being aware of your own actions, your own words, how you use your ability to use the power of your own language, your own words, and how powerful the tongue is, and your voice and the projection of your voice. And then also in a text or in a writing, however you read the writing is how you are feeling, not how they're feeling. You're adding, when you add an emotion to a reading, you're actually and there's no voice there. You're not hearing their voice. You're adding your emotions to that text or to that message. I just said that, like, that was at the end of my most recent blog I just did. On the end of the blog, it actually says that. So this is, and so being aware of this is so important, because it roots us and grounds us. It leaves us being like a volcano, an eruption of unhealthy energy. We become an imposter to ourselves. We also then get caught up in those Jezebel energies, and then we're always looking for the light, and then we're not able to tell the difference between what is true, authentic, good light and good intentions, or what is the Jezebel energy, what is a imposter light, what is not good, what is a good and not, what is not good intentions, and what is good intentions. Because instinctually you cannot use the greatest discernment when you are in pleasing mode, and you're like, oh my God, but what if I get it wrong, or what if something happens, or what if, right, if I don't do this for them today. So a lot of people use that manipulation when they have addictions, and they use it in the way of, if you don't do this for me, right? And nobody has any kind of control over that destiny. If you don't do this for me, this could happen, and then you're going to be to blame. No, you're not. And no, you're not. That is not your responsibility, right? And so that story and whatever is, that's giving back that responsibility. So healing starts with taking ownership and responsibility for what is yours, but it also leaves you with the ability to use discernment to decipher what was mine, what is not mine. And that's where my soul revival works come in. So when you see me offer the Goddess Within courses, that happen like for a 4-week period, that's soul revival work. What we're doing is we're stepping in, we're bringing back that sense of ourselves, and truly taking back, this is mine. I'm taking that back. I'm giving you back yours with love and claiming that back in. And then also some of this comes into deep past life regression things, and soul contracts and karmic relationships. And so as a professional past life healer, when we're doing this work, is that I always say it's like watching a movie. You're not that now. This is where the soul has been. You may have some sort of memory, and that is coming back, and you're remembering another lifetime. It's not where your human was. But if it's of this lifetime, so past life healing also goes to where you have been in this lifetime in the past. And so that healing then allows us to not to be so caught up in the archetypal energy that leads us into living from the sense of the shadow, but being able to be live in our truth, live in our light, and live a much more happy life that is filled with joy, because it's internal and you're not waiting for the external world to provide that for you. So if you're only going to be happy when the right person's in your life, if you're only going to be happy when you have this, when I have this dream job, when I have this, when I have that, no, you will not be happy if that's what you're waiting for, because you will find something else in there to keep feeding the monster of the unhappiness. And that'll be another temporary satisfaction. Joy is so deeply so deeply inside of us that sometimes it is hard to recognize that we've had that that we've had a lot of joy in our lives, because the misery and all of those things become dense and foggy and heavy that we cannot see, that we do still have that is in there. And so we just got to find that essence of ourselves. And then we find that sense of, I'm very content with myself. What changes is how you talk about yourself. That's how you know you're starting to live with more joy in your heart, because how you talk about yourself, how you communicate to you, which comes from the wisdom of the elders card, that's where it changes. You start to say, you know what? I have really succeeded at a lot of great things. I've done a lot of good things. I also own my role in certain situations. And then you catch yourself in mid stride of starting to fall into a trap, starting to, cross the trigger line, starting to go to those places that are not healthy for you. And that's what we're being told to be. Very much where we are right now is to be aware of that, to not let what is being fed to you as knowledge, what you are feeding to your own self as knowledge. This is it. This is all there is, to be the only truth, to be curious, to open your mind that there is more happening. There is a lot of imposter light, a lot of imposter energy, and a lot of bullshit out there right now. And to know that, when you know your truth. When you know that you can use discernment, that you can slow down, you can breathe, you don't have to decide anything right now, and you don't have to jump into anything right now. And you're not, and people can't play you the same way. People can't get you to respond to their emotions so that you're actually feeding their monster energy. Because the moment you start defending yourself, it's the moment you often say, oh, well, that makes you look like you're guilty because you're trying to defend yourself. Not defending yourself is the most powerful thing that you can do. So if you have someone that's trying to manipulate your energy or trying to trigger you, don't respond. You don't have to respond. Do not use fillers, and you don't justify. You don't have to justify who you are when you know your truth. And that's where we are. That's the message for this week. This is something that goes into practice. This is not something that you get overnight. This is not something that, oh, I got all this. If you're saying I got it and I got it all, we got to go right back to the first card. Listen again. Listen again, because we don't have it all. We don't know it all. And so it is so deeply programmed into us. And we're going to end with a Mother Mary card. Aloha, Natalie. I am just about done, Shay. But you know what, Shay? The whole 3 cards that I just did, you need to go back and watch this whole live. So when this is done, the recording will come right up. But if you had a rough day, like, you really need to listen to this 3 card message that I just did. So go back and listen. And hi to everyone else who has been joining in. I'm so thankful that you're all here, that you come in, you're joining. Please do share the videos. I also got all of the monthlies are all up on, all of the monthlies are up on YouTube. So they're up on my YouTube channel. So for each and every month, plus this week's channel message is also up. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification button on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, I am also on Facebook. So if you're wondering where all the people are I'm talking to, they are on there. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. And so I am going to go to the Mother Mary card, because Mother Mary has been with me all day. She's been all around. I've done some big writings today, and I don't know where the writings belong, but I write a lot about creating heaven on earth. And I work a lot with, of course, the Jesus energy and the archetypal energy of Jesus, Mother Mary, and I channel Mother Mary and I channel Jesus. So, and it's the essence of the voice of God. I channel the voice of God. So if you want to know more about channeling and you want to see me channel more, and if you want to witness my ability, that my speaking of the light language, if you haven't heard of the light language, go search it. Then my weekend class that I'm doing, That weekend class that I have coming up this weekend, I will be using light language. We'll be doing angelic healing. It's interactive, so you will be learning to do some of this yourself. I will be teaching some about channeling. Also, you will be working with the healer yourself. We'll be calling in that healer energy, and we're going to be doing the light activation within self, doing a lot of cleansing, a lot of clearing energy and resolving energy as well. And it's 8 hours. So our card that comes up is the lady who gives peace. The lady who gives peace. And this is Alana Fairchild's, the Mother Mary Oracle. And the lady who gives peace. And sometimes we got to stop and smell the roses. Sometimes, and so she brings the essence of peace. And how she brings in that peace is in that awareness of sometimes it is not in words. Sometimes it is not in the sense of I'm having the last word. Sometimes it is in having no words. And that's where I speak about not justifying and not feeling the need to have revenge. Revenge don't ever bring about peace. It gives you more of a reason to live in the unhealthiest of energies, and those unhealthy energies then make us sick, and that doesn't help anybody. And so also, this is when I go back to the wisdom of the elders, which was the first card, was she talked about patience. So I'm going to bring back to patience. And sometimes why we have no sense of peace is actually because we have no patience. And when we say we're the most patient in the world, but we can't let ourselves sit in a place where, someone may have a different opinion or a different view. And we're like, I don't want to hear this. So sometimes we need to hear the things that are not comfortable for us, right? Sometimes we need to hear those. And when we can be at peace within ourselves, that no matter what else is happening around us, is that we know the peace within. So making peace with our past also brings forth healing. That revenge, that resentment, that kind of shaming somebody, wanting somebody else to pay the price, those type of things will always lead you being the master manipulator of your own energy. You'll never find that joy. You'll never be able to find that sense of happiness. And so she tells us that, whatever is that deep sense of concern that you carry, that deep sense of worry that holds you hostage, is what she does is she asks you to surrender it to her. And I remember a time, and I don't know why I need to share this story right now, but I'm going to share this. When I was writing, like really truly in the midst of a lot of my writings and going through some of my biggest healings, and I was still very angry at myself, and I was my own worst enemy. And I was still in a lot of hurt stories around my child, the unborn child. And I was going, and I always have this shrine. I have a big statue of Mother Mary who sits in the corner, and I have her set up. And then I have my feather and my smudge, and it's one of my shrines that I set up. And it has my rattle is there, and my drum was there. And I was walking past, and I knew I wasn't being very nice to myself, and I was in tears. I'm like, why me? What have I done? And why can't I just be enough for people? Why can't I just be accepted? I was just beating myself up in so many ways. And I was just like, imagine if I had to have my other child, imagine if I didn't listen to somebody else, if I didn't let somebody else's fear, how stupid were you, Corrie? And so I was having that conversation, and I just heard the voice of Mother Mary say, sit, my child, sit, my child. Hand me your child. I ask of you to hand me the spirit, the story of your child. Surrender it to me. I gave you my son. You give me yours. I gave you my son. You give me yours. And with that, something clicked. And when that something clicked for me, I realized how powerful the spirit really is, including our own spirit. Because that essence of we can't see ourselves as being such a good human being. We look into the inspiration of, say, Mother Mary or Jesus energy, and or a dearest grandmother who was like the most, to you, probably the godliest person, but you never seen her humanness. You never seen the humanness of Mother Mary or Jesus because somebody idolized them and turned them into this saint that you could never normalize them or see them as normal. You couldn't see them as that human essence. But we all have the aspect of the human self that has made choices and decisions that truly has taken us from that place of grace. None of us have done it all right. But the things that we've done have, those lowest moments are your most defining moments in life. They're the moments that have changed our lives. And only when I could make peace and I could give over that story, because that story was serving the need to be like, a punishment to myself so that I could never fully enter the next stage. I couldn't ascend into that healing, to put myself into that light, because who was I to be blessed to have this life? Who was I to be blessed to be able to use my gifts? And that was an ongoing thing for me that I struggled with. And within that, I discovered something of my own self, and I discovered something of the power of that spirit essence within us, that how powerful our conviction to stay in the punishment, to stay in the shadows really is. So when I handed over that essence, so I didn't have my child to hand over, but I had the energy. I had the existence of that owned me. So then I've taken that child energy, I've taken that story, and I'm like, and I held her little porcelain hands. And as I held the porcelain hands and I just put it in, I felt myself cry. And I started to cry, and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. That's surrendering. It was, I allowed myself to sit in silence with my own heart long enough to let the tears flow, to let the anger out, to let every bit of hurt fall out and fall into just being in this place of peace and silence. And in that, I made peace with that story. And by making peace with that story, it then set me free. And then I found a sense of freedom, which is also that sense of liberation. And then that brings us back into unity and back into that sense of oneness and that connection with all of who we are, our mind, body, soul connection. And then the existence of beyond there. You're much more than this one human body, but everybody's soul lives tied to this material world, to this one dimensional, this view of yourself. But you're so much bigger than that. You're so much more than that. And you're so much more than the stories of your past. You're so much more than your past mistakes or your impulsiveness or your moments where you did the right thing in the moment. And the right thing in the moment may not be the right thing down the road, but it felt right at the time. Or it was guided and channeled through you. You just did. And you don't know why you just did, but you just did. And so you don't let those moments own you. And you don't let those mistakes own you. You're greater than that. And you're so much more. And so when you can free that, you open up the room for your expansion and you expand. And that's how your life starts to become more of that joy. There's so many aspects to this. Yes, Natalie. Regina, that is Ellie for me. Even brings me peace every time. Everything else you've talked about tonight and what you've taught me in your classes. Much appreciated for both of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, and that's the message, trying to send good vibes for myself. Yes, exactly. Sending those good vibes, being connected to that good energy. And, and so it's not about, stop trying to send it to yourself and allow it to flow into you, Natalie. Change the language. Allow it to flow in, allow it to flow into your life, allow it to flow through you. Because see yourself as the vessel. See yourself as the vessel. So yes, so this is Our Lady Peace, and to everyone who's joining in, because with that, then, so you just can't make this shit up. Here's Mother Mary and the little child energy. And this card brings forth the rebirth. Our Lady of the Ocean of Rebirth. as mystical Marlena tells us to, we can have the balance and have the best of several worlds and several opportunities. We can't have it all, but we can have a good balance within our lives. And when we allow our lives to bring in what we need and not what we want, and then our beautiful birth comes when we let the old stories die. And every single morning is an opportunity to be reborn into a new life, to begin again. There. That's your message for this. That's your message. And I really, truly hope to see some of you come into my weekend course that I have coming up, the Angelic Healing. I am an angelic life coach. I'm an angel card reader, advanced angel card reader. I've taken many advanced angel courses, but I also teach many angel courses. So for years, I've been teaching angel courses and mediumship. And this part of me and a part of this light that I work with is a part of something that I kind of only do. And like, I don't really bring this out in public so much. But now I'm really, truly stepping into no longer hiding any parts of who and what I am. So this light activation stuff is something that I actually love. I love working with the light language, and it frees us of the words, but also to allow people to step into the healing energy of the angelic realm. So I will be doing that this weekend. So you can come join me in that class. And it's all on the Facebook page or on my website, CorrieThorne.com. Come join me. It'll be Saturday and Sunday, live, interactive, and yeah, you will be involved. So thank you. You are also very welcome. So nice to see you. If you're just coming in, tonight's message was massive. It is a big, big message. I do recommend watching from beginning to end. Because there is a lot of information in there. You can probably even journal some of the stuff from there that comes in for you. So much love and compliments of, the snoring dog to keep you entertained as well. Have a beautiful night, and I will see you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.